1.6. It was east of Lima, Montana. I'm going to show you here. It was real shallow, 1.6 miles in depth. There's the location. This is Hetkin Lake. Yeah, it's been real active through this area. And of course, this is the area where they said that they recently discovered that the caldera, one of the chambers underground, is twice as large as what they originally thought. 1605 Universal Time, or yesterday, 1916 Central Daylight Time. Here is Maple Creek. There's that earthquake. This one here they're not reporting, which was at a little after 1:27 Universal Time. Both of those showed up at Western Boundary, but like I said, they only reported that one. This one they didn't. Here we have Teton Pass, Wyoming. It shows both of those quakes. Denny Creek, Moose Creek, Idaho, shows both of them. Now this would be yesterday from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m. or midnight to 2:15 Universal Time. Alright, about a little after 10:09 Universal Time, you see this earthquake here not being reported. This is the borehole at Yellowstone Lake. This is the borehole at Grant. This is the borehole at Norris Junction. Now this earthquake was at the park. Regular monitor at Grant. You can see the drum beats. See that? Bam, 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 bam. And prior to that, bam, bam. And there's been drum beats at Yellowstone Lake going on most of the day and prior yesterday. This is Little West Thumb. It's probably at least a 2.5 earthquake. Maybe a little larger. Maple Creek, Mary Lake. It might have even been close to a 3-point earthquake. And this here is Madison River, Mount Sheridan, and Mammoth Hot Springs. Norris Junction. I'm just guessing, but I would say that earthquake was somewhere within this area here. See, this is the signature for Yellowstone Lake. Grant, which is set at the same as Yellowstone Lake, 500 microvolts. It's a larger signature. Here's Grant Village. There's Little West Thumb. It probably woke up a few of the people that were staying there at the park, maybe in one of the hotels or cabins. See, Little West Thumb. That's cranked up to 1066.55 microvolts. And you see how big that is. So probably closer to that area, but it's somewhere in this area. One of my subscribers was supposed to go there this weekend, so if you're watching this video and you felt it, I'll put your comment down below. If it was under a 3, some people probably would not have even felt it. People who are earthquake sensitive probably did. Yeah, we'll see. Between 7 and 9 o'clock, 14:15, 16:15 Universal Time. This is all they're showing right now. Look at that. It almost looks like a spring, don't it? The magma intrusion. Norris Junction showed the exact same thing. Look at that. Once again, the borehole at Norris, and the other one they have on the surface. Maple Creek, Mary Lake. It almost looks like...
Remember how the scripture says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Sure.
Not lack of faith, not lack of religion, lack of knowledge.
Sure. Yeah.
Emphasize it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, Brother Gil, and you know, we come under great criticism often about some of the things we research, some of the things that we talk about. I've tried just not to, I try not to take it personal because I know that sometimes our understandings are different. I try to be mindful of that. And sometimes I learn, even from my biggest critics, I'll learn their vantage points, and I'll have to back up and say, you know, maybe they have a point with this, or maybe they have a point with that, and maybe I could say things a little different or not come across as so. Sometimes when I preach, I get so passionate that I think I sound a lot more mad or something than I am. And if I'm mad at anything, I'm mad at the devil. If I'm mad at anyone, I'm mad at not the person or not the people, but I'm mad at what the enemy's doing. So sometimes even your critics can help you, even if they're wrong about some things. Maybe they're get your mind working and you can think about others, and it'll bring a better rounded ideology in your heart and open you up to different things that you need to see. But I was gonna ask you one more thing, if I can. Did you have anything else to add? Well, let's go back to this date, Brother Gil. Let's go back to this date. So when you see Revelation 12:1, I'm in total agreement with the fact that it's a constellation, it's some alignment in the heavens. And you're saying that because it's the nighttime sky, and when it says a woman clothed with the sun, you wouldn't necessarily see. Well, you don't see the sun in the nighttime sky. So you're saying that this is alluding to Planet X and the tail-piercing Virgo, the Virgin. And you say that this constellation, of course, it also says the moon's going to be at her feet, and the 12 stars are not only talking about stars. If I'm remembering the things I've researched, it's talking about planets as well. Is that correct? The 12 stars there is also
correct.
Including planets.
Yeah, we can also verify this in multiple ways in the Scripture too. That we're talking about the month of March.
Okay.
Because
now,
think of this like a train on a track. The tracks are laid down and they don't change. The train may arrive at different times or late or early, but it doesn't jump track. That's the same thing with the orbit of an object. It's on a set path. This object right now, according to all of these models, we have, remember, verified data from the Chinese, Asian astronomers. This object comes in at the end of March, circles the sun, and exits in March. You know, it comes in the end of August, circles the sun, and exits in March.
And you're drawing that conclusion from your data that you have researched from the Chinese and other records that you've pulled out from places that you've dug into around the world.
And the models
correct?
in the Bible. Yes.
Okay. Even better. But what you've done, Brother Gil, can you take a second before we go to our top of the hour break? Can you take a second and just let us know? I know you didn't go into all these countries specifically to research and things like that, but while you've been in these countries, because your job is taking you around the world, we don't have to get into all that. But and you're what you would refer to as an amateur astronomer, but you have so much knowledge in this field. Can you just take a few minutes before we come to the bottom of the next hour and just talk about the research that you've done? How elaborate has it been? And in the next hour, maybe what we'll do is
something is causing the deaths of entire herds of an already endangered species. The saiga antelope, a dwindling variety found throughout Asia, has been dying in massive numbers, all within Kazakhstan. Within just the last few weeks, researchers say over 120,000 of the animals have perished. That's nearly half the world's population. Evidence pointing to weakened immune systems suggests a number of possible causes: a bacterial or viral disease, or rocket fuel. Some investigators believe toxic fuel byproducts from rockets launched at Kazakhstan's Baikonur Cosmodrome may be poisoning the herds. Others say that's not possible. Meanwhile, scientists are racing to find the cause to allow the species to repopulate itself.
More than 100 tourists are trapped right now after a powerful earthquake on one of Southeast Asia's tallest peaks. Officials say about a dozen climbers on the mountain are hurt. The magnitude 6 quake rocked Malaysia's Mount Kinabalu earlier today. Charlie D'Agata is following the rescue operation from London. Charlie, good morning.
Good morning. We contacted the U.S. Embassy in Malaysia, who told us they don't know yet if Americans are among those stranded on the mountain. Now, some pictures from the region show roads that buckled and collapsed because of the power of the earthquake. Around a dozen people are thought to have been injured. A ranger said helicopters are struggling to reach them because of poor visibility, and there is a cold night ahead.
Extreme weather, tornadoes across Colorado and Kansas overnight. 8 reported on the ground. Flash floods and hail also creating so much trouble. And ABC's Neil Karlinski is in Colorado this morning. Good morning, Neil.
George, good morning. I can tell you that they're keeping us back because the scene here is still active. There are actually power lines down in the area. But take a look at this house. You can see the roof has just been ripped off, and there's an SUV over there that's been toppled upside down. And this is just one of roughly 30 homes damaged by tornadoes here overnight. Merciless, massive tornadoes.
Tornado on the ground!
Ripping across Colorado.
Oh, it's violent.
Terrifying drivers making their way home.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And watch this extraordinary footage captured inside this Colorado funnel cloud. The winds whipping. Seconds later, actually picking up this 4,500-pound Ford Ranger truck with debris flying. The driver who was filming this is okay. His truck severely damaged. And near Denver, you can see the aftermath. Dozens of homes and farms destroyed, this house completely gutted. This SUV picked up and dropped on its roof. And it wasn't just tornadoes. Torrential rain and hail, hammering drivers, including us.
Oh, loud clanks on the car that sound like it's denting it. People are pulling over.
And then there were these blinding bolts. Overnight in Kansas, drivers unable to see the roads, forced to pull over but still getting battered by winds and rain. And in Missouri, water has taken over many of the roadways, making travel dangerous. This big truck swept away. I can tell you the lightning and the hail and the rain just seem to go on and on overnight. Remarkably, there are no reports of serious injuries at this point, but more bad weather is expected to roll through the area later today. Just what they don't...
A routine patrol proves anything but for one Colorado police officer. Sheridan Police Sergeant Greg Miller was on patrol early Friday morning when his SUV was swallowed by this giant sinkhole. He landed 15 feet below the surface. Miller says his doors wouldn't open, so he had to crawl out onto the roof and pull himself to safety. He suffered some cuts and bruises in the accident, but is otherwise okay. The SUV is a total loss. No word what caused the sinkhole, but in urban settings they can be caused by anything from flooding to heavy vehicle traffic to broken water pipes.
Now the shockwaves were sent around the world. Is there any evidence of that? Sure there is. It caused an uplift on the other side of the planet. It's called the Himalayan mountain range. Take a look at it. It's a perfect curve. It's the same curve as the Gulf of Mexico sent to the other side. In other words, Himalayans were formed in a matter of seconds. Number two, it also means the highest peaks of the Himalayas did not exist at the time of Noah's flood. So a lot of people like to argue and say, well, how much would it have to rain to reach all the way to the top of Mount Everest? Well, excuse me, there was no Mount Everest. Amazing. God has an answer to everything. And it's right there. It's staring you in the face. Next time you look at the globe, it's all there. But I'll take you even further. This is a NASA satellite map of gravity. Did you know that gravity is unevenly distributed on the Earth? You are slightly heavier in Asia. That's why we have to eat rice and not pasta. You're slightly heavier in Asia because the land density is greater. Well, what could have caused that? It indicates pressure wave. A powerful meteor impacting during a total global flood is a logical explanation for this anomaly on our planet. Let's talk about future implications.